we must start with Kylian Mbappe's official presentation at Real Madrid. He has finally been unveiled as a Real Madrid player, wearing the shirt officially for the first time with the number 9 on his back. It was a packed house. The stadium was full. Wow. Zinedine Zidane was there alongside Florentino Perez and honorary president Piri. He kissed the badge. He did the 1, 2, 3 a la Madrid like his idol Cristiano Ronaldo as well. And it was a big day at the Bernabeu. He was also reminded of the achievements of the club thus far as well. Alex
it's his best performance of the summer, isn't it, that?
Well, so far. Alex Kirkland was there for all of it. We've got Ian Darke with us as well. Lots to talk about here. But let's start with you, Alex. Given the fact that you were there, it looked like a spectacular setting. Was it all that it lived up to be?
Yeah, it was a little bit surreal, Kay, to be honest, in the end, because this is a moment, this is a day that we've sort of talked about for so long, we've thought about, we've anticipated for years and years and years, and then finally it was here. And my overwhelming sensation really was that, Mbappe was so ready for this moment. This is an occasion that he will have run through in his head so many times. He will have thought about what would he say in that speech to the fans. What would he say to the questions from the journalists in the press room later on? It's something that he had literally dreamed about since he was a kid. He repeatedly came back to that theme, that this was his dream that is now becoming a reality. He was a boyhood Real Madrid fan, he was a boyhood Cristiano Ronaldo fan, and now here he is, sort of following in the footsteps of his idol, like you say, his other big idol and mentor. Zinedine Zidane was here as well, the guy who first brought Mbappe to Madrid on trial back in 2012. And it was a really impressive kind of performance from Mbappe, as you might expect. And the other big sort of takeaway for me was his Spanish is really, really good. He gave the speech to the crowd in Spanish. He answered the vast majority of the questions in the press conference in Spanish as well, except those that were put to him in French by French journalists who'd come over for the day. Pretty fluent, near perfect. And again, that's a sign, I think, of the fact that this is a guy who has been preparing for this moment for a long, long time.
Yep, it was absolutely perfect Spanish, putting a few to shame, no doubt, when it came
like
to
Dan Thomas. How long was it? How many years was it?
And
all he can say is get me a beer. I tell you what, though, you can't have a lot going on in your life, really, if you fill a stadium out to go and see a player signing.
Oh, they've been waiting for this, Craig, haven't they?
I mean, come on. What's all that about? Filling the stadium out to go and watch a player wave to the fans. I don't get that. I know. Sorry, but come on. I don't know.
It was a true superstar's welcome.
I wouldn't bother me backside going. Let's see what he does on the field.
But all those people who turned up for Ronaldo's, and then look what he did on the field for Real Madrid.
Well, there's Ronaldo and there's Messi, and he's not in that conversation yet. So, whatever he does, he's just come off the back of a broken nose or not, pretty awful Euros by his standards. Whatever standards, and I know we're going to talk, but whatever standards he's set thus far, I know he's won a World Cup, but whatever standards he's set, he's going to have to up that and some. Because those two players that we've talked about for years in Spain, Messi and Ronaldo, it was year after year after year after year of some of the most incredible numbers. And Kylian Mbappe is going to have to live up to that, and as I say, he's got quite some way to go before. And in fact, I think there's a big question mark if he'll ever reach the kind of numbers that they did.
Well, one thing we can be sure of, Ian, is that Craig Burley was definitely able to put a dampener on Kylian Mbappe's big day at Real Madrid today.
All he's done is sign. He hasn't played. I don't really give a toss about him signing. It's all how you doing? Anybody can do that. Anybody can do.
Not anybody can speak Spanish
I don't care what language he speaks. When the Liga season starts and the Champions League and all that sort of stuff, then we'll talk about it. All this peripheral nonsense, I couldn't give a stuff about.
Oh, you'll be doing a lot of talking about it this season, Ian Darke, and I'm sure you're much more excited than Craig Burley is to be talking about Kylian Mbappe in a Real Madrid shirt this season.
Yeah, just a little bit more excited. That is going to be some lineup, isn't it? If Mbappe is in his very best form, and of course he wasn't at the Euros, he did have the excuse of the facial injury, I suppose. But imagine those three coming at you: Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. My worry for La Liga is, with Barcelona having all the financial problems that they're having at the moment, they've got to stay competitive. You do need the Barcelona-Real Madrid rivalry to be a real rivalry and not to become too one-sided. I just wonder whether Mbappe is tilting the balance, unless, of course, Barcelona can somehow get Nico Williams, so they've got the two Spain wingers going there. But yeah, I mean, it's an exciting marquee signing for La Liga, and Craig's right. There's a lot of hoopla and ballyhoo, but look, there's 80,000 Spanish fans turned up. You can't argue with them, can you? Not really. Not if they're that excited.
Then came the press conference that was obviously after the presentation, where lots of questions were put to them, and one of those questions was which position he sees himself playing in at Real Madrid, and here's what he had to say.
Me voy a jugar donde él quiere el míster. Puedo jugar en las tres posiciones de arriba. He jugado en París en las tres posiciones de arriba, en la selección francesa también en las tres posiciones de arriba, en Mónaco también. So, lo más importante es estar bien físicamente y mentalmente para ayudar al equipo. Donde me voy a jugar es un detalle. Es bien para vosotros o periodistas, tiene cosa de hablar, pero para mí no es un debate. Yo quiero estar en el campo seguro, pero dónde me va a jugar no es una pregunta. Yo vi el míster esta mañana y no hablamos de eso, porque para mí me da igual, no me importa de jugar y demostrar que puedo ayudar al Real Madrid.
Obviously talking about not mattering where he does play. We're just taking a look by position in all competitions of last season, whether it was the left wing or a striker, and the numbers are pretty effective in both, Stevie.
Yeah.
Do you believe that he doesn't mind where he's told he'll be playing?
No, I think he's saying and doing what he's supposed to do right now, and that is say all the nice things and everything that everybody's going to like to hear. The cat will be put amongst the pigeons if things don't start off too well and he's not on the left-hand side, for example. And then we'll find out whether it's a problem or not. But listen, he's doing and saying all the right things right now, and you can't argue with that. But as I said, when the ball comes out, and whether the net starts bulging or not will depend on whether he thinks he's playing in the right position or not.
The last person that had a great press conference was Jude Bellingham, and it was smooth and it was articulate and it was impressive, particularly as a younger man. And then he went on to have the most amazing first season, particularly the first 6 months. Not such a great end with England, obviously, but he did his talking on the field, and ultimately that's what Kylian Mbappe is going to have to do here. Now he has a great manager to work under, he has some great teammates to play along with, and they are going to be tough to knock off the top. But this is big time for him now. This is, you know, they used to boo Ronaldo and Benzema and many others when they did not like what they saw, the Real Madrid fans, and that's all something he's going to. And by the way, you and Dan Thomas are two of the worst at misconstruing words in the history of this business. Because at no point did I say I wasn't looking forward to Kylian Mbappe. I was saying I don't like all this sort of peripheral nonsense. Of course I'm looking forward to watching him play. It's just, you know, the talking is done on the field. And I'm just glad that he's here now, because with a lot of this has been a sort of, it seems like an 18-month drag-on drama where he was going to be there, and then Florentino Perez got the custard pie and didn't walk away, came back for the player, and now it's happened. It
seems unthinkable, though, in reality.
That he'll have a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I don't think so.
Real Madrid are going to be so far ahead of everybody else, including Barcelona, that, you know, he personally is going to have to be so bad not to be scoring goals and making goals. I mean, they are just going to be so far ahead of everybody else. So it seems inconceivable. Whether he plays the left, through the middle, on the right, you can play him any way you want. But this team, no question, the odds must be ridiculous for them to win the league. And so that means that he is absolutely going to score loads of goals. Now, is it going to be Messi numbers? Is it going to be Ronaldo numbers? I guess that's what, as Craig said, he'll be judged on. But you can guarantee he's going to score plenty of goals in this team. No question.
When it does come to his position, Alex, obviously we see with the Spanish press so often they love giving us those lineups of their best 11s and how they think it will be. What's been the talk of what the Gala 11 will be for Madrid this coming season?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to say, it's obvious, but he will play. He will play because he's the new star signing. He's, you know, this player that Florentino Perez has wanted to bring in for such a long time. Now that he's here, he is going to play. Vinicius Jr. is going to play as well, because he has been sort of the superstar up to this point alongside Jude Bellingham. So those two play up front. The question is it a front two? Is it a front three with Rodrigo Goes? You know, Bellingham's in there as well. How do you sort of structure the midfield around that? How do you make up for the absence of Tony Kroos? And I think his loss will be felt, because he was so important to the way the team operated last season, had such a good season last year. It's a shame, really. It would have been great to see Tony Kroos sort of providing through balls for Kylian Mbappe, but it's not to be. So that's interesting, I think. We don't know exactly what the shape of the team's going to be. We heard from Mbappe there. He said, look, he had a quick chat with Carlo Ancelotti this morning when he visited Valdebebas to sign the contract, but they didn't talk tactics. They haven't talked tactics yet. He had a quick word with the fitness coach, Antonio Pintos, and his medical team as well, to come up with sort of a plan for what the plan is in terms of getting fully fit. Of course, you've got the broken nose issue as well. You've got the fact he's come off the back of a long, hard season. He will need some rest. They need to get him in shape sooner rather than later. And the other big unanswered question is when we're going to see him in a Real Madrid shirt for the first time. Now, he said today he was targeting the UEFA Super Cup against Atalanta. He said that's the game that he wants to play in, the first trophy of the season up for grabs. He was asked about, will he make it over to the States for the pre-season tour, and he said, well, that's up to the club. If they want me to go, I'll go. I think given the timings involved, that's highly unlikely. But the Super Cup is the target in terms of the first competitive game, and that'll be the first clue that we get from the lineup there in terms of how he's going to fit into that front line.
Will Ancelotti already have it in his mind where he's going to play him, or is he going to use some of these pre-season games to test a few things out?
I think he'll have a wish list of where he wants him to play, but then once he puts the team on the field and he sees how the chemistry is and how they gel, then he will absolutely figure out what is best for the team. And that's what it has to be. It can't be what's best for Mbappe. Now, some might argue that what's best for Mbappe is going to mean that it's best for the team. But this Real Madrid side, up until now, has not really been about a sort of Ronaldo type. They're a unit, they're a team. And I'm sure that Ancelotti wants to keep it that way. And that means that he plays where he's told to play for the benefit of the team. That's the way it has to be. And I'm sure that's the way it will be under Ancelotti.
Well, you mentioned what the odds would be when it comes to Real Madrid being favourites to win the league. It is heavy, heavy, heavy favourites to win the league next year and to retain La Liga's title as you look at the odds here. Is that going to be a problem in La Liga next season, Alex?
I mean, let's see. It's never quite as straightforward as sort of putting together all the best players and the biggest names and you win everything, is it? We saw that, of course, famously with Real Madrid, with the Galacticos in the early 2000s when it didn't work. Well, this team won't be as unbalanced as that team ended up being. But still, let's see. Ian mentioned earlier about Barcelona. They've got Lamine Yamal. There are all these links to Nico Williams. You've still got Lewandowski there. You've still got, when they're fit, Pedri and Gavi and everyone else. You've got a new coach, Hansi Flick, and the hope is that he will improve Barcelona and make it, put them right back in the title race this season. Let's see what happens with Atletico Madrid. Let's see what happens with Girona. We want to see, of course, as competitive a league as possible. We don't want to see Real Madrid, well, those of us who aren't Real Madrid fans, don't want to see Real Madrid running away with it. We want it to be tight. We want that drama and that excitement. But nothing is guaranteed. Like I say, let's see how Mbappe fits into the team. Let's see what happens with the midfield. Let's see if Madrid can replicate the success they had last season. Let's see how much Barcelona can improve. And fingers crossed it is competitive. And I think there are enough sort of signs there, like I say, in terms of Barcelona's players, the new coach, if they can get it together, that we might get that.